think it's pretty cool how Medley gets to ride in your boat with you. It's like Link is taking her out on a date. The problem is that, well, she's not with him long enough. It's not like with Marin in Link's Awakening where you can take her out on an extended date. Yeah, I ship Medley and Link. Why not? Especially since there's no way that Link and Tetra could have gotten together, considering, like, the events of Spirit Tracks, where Link, in that game, isn't royalty, so there's no way that he's descended from Tetra. Like, Link meets Zelda for the first time, who is Tetra's descendant in that game. So, it's not like they're siblings. So, if Link did get together with Tetra, I think it would have been nice if he had gotten together with Medley. Like, I don't know, I think it would have been nice to do the same thing they did with Marin in Link's Awakening. Spend more time with her than just a few seconds and have her be an annoying partner. Well, I say annoying, but she's not even actually playing the harp, she just has her fingers randomly strumming the harp. Like, I'm pretty sure to actually play a harp you have to carefully pluck specific notes. Like, specific strings in specific areas, not just strum it, like in Skyward Sword. But whatever, it's an old game, it's an animation. But anyways, like I said, she was annoying, but she's really not. It's Macker who's annoying. Although she is pretty slow, I don't understand why they thought it was okay to make it so that you can't roll with her. Cause like, you need to roll all the time as Link because your walking speed isn't quite good enough. So, Medley feels slow. Of course, you have the command melody return. And if you get hurt as a partner, then you get transferred back to Link. So I defeated all of the enemies, although I didn't really have to do that. I probably could have just kept walking up here and ignored them. I wonder if you can skip this text. I don't quite remember. But yeah, I like this idea. This is pretty cool. Naturally, she can't do it forever because you're heavy. So, like, it's cool that you can control a character who can fly, but why is there a time limit? Like, can't Ritos fly forever? I mean, I know she's a kid, but, like, there's a postman. Ritos are postmen. They fly across the entire ocean. And it's not like they can fly at the speed of sound, either. So why does she arbitrarily have a limit to how long she can fly? And you can't say that would be broken because it's not like it's a platformer where you skip platforming challenges and that's what the game is dedicated to. No, it's a dungeon crawler. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to fly infinitely with her. I like this, but you can't talk to her while she's dazed, like back in Trader Moose Island, to make her give you funny text. It is really satisfying doing that. Like, I like the character, but it provides a pretty humorous, like, slapstick. It's gonna be something I'm doing a lot because this is a very frustrating and dull dungeon. And speaking of frustrating, the gimmick with these guys is that they can only be killed after you turn them to stone with light. You don't actually need the Megaton Hammer to defeat them, you can just pick them up and throw them at the wall or floor or each other. I think that jump attacking with the Megaton Hammer is faster though. Like, it's cool how you can use basically sword attacks with the hammer. Like, in A Link to the Past, you could only do one attack with the hammer, and it was a pathetically short range, essentially a stab from Zelda 1. Yeah, you can also reflect light with the Harp of Medley. Although it's really stiff in that she's forced to always face directly forwards. And it doesn't feel quite as stiff with Link, but he is always, like, when he does it later, he always has to face directly forwards. Like, it's not like you can spin him around. like 360 degrees in first person. Well, that actually looked pretty silly from the outside, like it's spinning around in circles. I like the idea of the breaking the statues with light. Even if it is tedious constantly having to switch to medley, or like stand in a bright pillar of light that's already starting to hurt my eyes. This is a big problem with this temple. Like, it has a lot of cool and interesting concepts, but it's just such an eye strain. There's constantly bright white light it hurts your eyes after a while. You can actually just jump off that ledge while holding medley and fly towards that mallet and just get your hammer out. Like, yeah, I guess you have to have had it gripped already, and jump attack the mallet after flying with medley. And that'll be a lot faster of a way rather than having to put up with the annoying fog. Like, the fog basically jinxes you. Like, it makes you unable to use items or sword. I'm not really sure why they decided that gimmick was fun or a good idea. You can get rid of the fog, but only temporarily. Like, you can use a Deku Leaf, but it only gets rid of a straight line, and even then, the hitboxes for the fog are gigantic. So there's so many times in this dungeon where you could have sworn that you didn't hit the fog, but it jinxed you anyways. The fog is so annoying and unnecessary, especially cheap when there's enemies in the fog. So how are you supposed to avoid them? Like, I like creating chests with the light, but this is such an annoying dungeon. And it loves block puzzles. And something it also loves is that! I hate that enemy, it is terrifying. Like, look at how cheap that was. Like, how was I supposed to attack it? It was insisting on staying in black hole form. The loading screen was so long there that I thought my video had froze for some reason. But anyways, like, it stays in black hole form, even though it's so cheap because it needs to not be in that form for you to attack it. So you're forced to go right up to it to attack it. And it always sends you back to this room. But I just find them to be easily the scariest enemy in all of Zelda franchise. And probably video game history, if I'm honest. Although I haven't played a lot of games. Because, like, the sounds that they make. And the thing that they can do to you, like, there's such a steep punishment for them grabbing you. And they attack so suddenly and quickly, they're so cheap. And there's nothing you can really do. Like, if you throw bombs at it, they'll catch the bombs and throw them right back at you. And if you try to shoot arrows at them, well, the arrows will barely do any damage. And that's something they can only do if they choose to not just stay in black hole form. I hate those guys, and they're everywhere. And they can grab medley and throw in a cage all the way back in that main mirror room. And then you have to go all the way back and get her when she's mandatory for beating the dungeon. Well, I say that, but you can use glitches to mostly skip using medley, which is good because it's kind of tedious having to constantly do the command melody over and over again, just making sure that, like, I really wish that the call option was actually worth it, and she actually had, like, pathfinding AI that was actually worth something. Because she gets stuck on walls, she really, really sucks at following you, even though she can fly, so you'd think that she would have no problem whatsoever following you. Just make her follow you in a straight line, and make her fly if she hits a wall, or be able to navigate around it. Like, just make her copy your movements. It can't be that hard to program, guys. Like, really? So you have to constantly make her stand at the start of the room, because she can't attack she can't attack enemies. She can't attack enemies for you. You can't give her the hero sword and let her attack enemies with you. You constantly have to stop and break walls by doing this, and God, this is such an eye strain. And what's the point of, like, there was a white star appearing over that warp pot, even though that doesn't actually do anything to the warp pot. Is that a glitch? A graphical oversight? That's only supposed to happen when you can actually do stuff with the breakable. I think that there's a room, like, there's a room that seems completely empty that I didn't show off. And like you can step on a switch and have mentally step on another switch, and that opens up the room. And it seems empty, but you can actually get something to allow Link to reflect light and break walls. Either that or it's an empty room psych. I don't really remember that room very well, but I don't end up bothering showing it off. Slow block pushing. What is this dungeon's fascination with that? You have to constantly throw her up those things. The confusing thing about this part of the game is that I used to think when I was a kid that you were allowed to go to any temple in any order. The reason I thought this is because they had the terrible design decision to create 2 blue markers at once on the sea, showing the Wind Temple and the Earth Temple being highlighted at the same time. Even though you're only allowed to go to the Earth Temple first. Macro doesn't even show up in the waterfall until after you've beaten the Earth Temple. And that makes it feel extremely forced, the linearity in this case, because there's absolutely no reason, story-wise or gameplay-wise, that you shouldn't be allowed to go to the Wind Temple first. This kind of messes up your controls with the pose possessing you, but I can actually adjust to it pretty easily. Like, I figure out again what directions do what, and then I can just make him move normally. It's always so satisfying when I can do that in games. God, why can't I just attack through the wall? I mean, I know it's unrealistic, but like I don't think it's fun. Like, having those long lance things be rendered worthless because of how long they are. They hit walls. But yeah, I don't really see why they had to make it linear in the temples part of the game. Especially since the Earth Temple sucks so much that I would have gladly played the Wind Temple first. You got the Song of Passing from the pretty charming and memorable, quirky dancing guy. And like, the Song of Passing is pretty convenient, letting you change the time of day whenever you want. There's only really 2 significant parts of day, like day and night. There's no significant thing you can only do at day or dusk or dawn or anything. I hate these guys so much. But yeah, the Song of Passing really should have been in Twilight Princess, because the only thing being at night does in this game is make it so that you can buy stuff at the auction. That's really it. So what's the point? And make it so that there's choo-choos on Outset Island. Big whoop. And you can only talk to one NPC in his house at night after a certain point in the game. In Outset Island. But yeah, I really hate these guys because they freeze you and paralyze you. And the only way I can kind of prevent them from doing that, because they unfreeze instantly after you freeze them with the ice arrows. So there goes that strategy. What I like to do is that I jump attack towards them with the Megaton Hammer, but I always overestimate how far I go with the jump attack in that situation. A lot of times I won't jump far enough to make it. Like, usually I can attack them with Megaton Hammer while they're in the middle of their paralyzing me animation, and Link's still in the air, so he still goes forwards and hits them. But a lot of the time they just give me trouble, and it's so annoying when they grab you and they just keep you in their arms and just constantly bite you, and you have to struggle with the control stick to get yourself out of that. But I hate these guys the most of all. Mainly because their head just keeps on jumping all over the place. And it's a lot more difficult than it looks to prevent the head from reforming the entire body and rendering everything you did to it previously pointless. Like, this part I can get easily. You don't even need to fight them properly, just use the bombs. But then it gets to this part, and like stun them with boomerang. Like that's a good idea, but and then you just spin attack spam. But that's easier said than done with the kind of combat system this is. Like it's not like the spin attack is mapped to a different button. You can actually skip this entire section. Like jumping off of a ledge and just flying with the Dooku leaf. And you have to use a special technique called leaf pumping, where you very rapidly press A to let go of the leaf in midair, and then immediately press the leaf button again. And you just keep on doing that to maintain your height in midair. And so you can use leaf pumping to jump from the ledge near the upper area there, and just grab onto it. You have to very carefully time pressing the A button in midair a lot of the time to make sure that you let go of the leaf close enough that you're able to grab onto the ledge and hang off it. That's something you have to do a lot of the time trying to skip stuff with the leaf. So it's harder to do than it looks like. I tried here and gave up pretty easily. I really hate those guys. But yeah, when you skip attacking them and you just exit with the item that you get from it, the mini boss music keeps on playing, which is good because that's a really badass theme. So like it always plays because you haven't beaten the mini boss. And I like that. It does eventually stop playing though. Like obviously if you save and quit, or if a floor master gets you, then the mini boss music will reset to the normal dungeon music. Which sucks because the normal dungeon music is really forgettable. It's ambience, it's kind of meh. Why do all of those enemies respawn? I had to take a long time re-killing all of them. Like what is this, a Mega Man game? I don't see the excuse to making enemies respawn after you kill them. It's like destroys the point of you attacking them and beating them in the first place. Aside from like getting them out of the way temporarily. A lot of the times you'll have to do this, where you use light and like you have to take advantage of how Medley bends the light towards you and you reflect it that way. So basically you can extend the range of the light that way. It's an interesting use of light physics. But the light physics, maybe I just don't know how light physics work, but in my experience they're just really frustrating.